Bartolomé de las Casas, protector of the Native Americans. Have you ever changed your mind about something? This is what happened to Bartolomé de las Casas. Las Casas lived with the conquistadors for many years. He helped them conquer the Americas. Then he decided that this conquest was wrong. He spent the rest of his life fighting against the conquistadors and trying to protect Native Americans. Las Casas was born in Spain in 1484. He was 8 when Columbus made his first voyage. 10 years later, in 1502, he sailed to the New World. He became a plantation owner on the island of Hispaniola. He owned slaves. He helped conquer the native people. In 1510, Las Casas became a Catholic priest. He was the first priest ordained in America. At first, this was not a problem. Las Casas felt that he could be a plantation owner and a priest. He did not see any conflict between his religion and his role as a plantation owner. In 1513, his thinking began to change. In that year, he took part in the conquest of Cuba. When he saw shocked him. The Spanish were very cruel. They treated the native people like animals. Las Casas found this disturbing. He began to rethink his views. In 1514, Las Casas made a big decision. He decided that what the Spanish were doing in America was wrong. It was wrong to kill and enslave people. It was not moral. It was not ethical. It was not consistent with the Christian religion. Las Casas felt ashamed of him. He felt ashamed of the things he had done. He felt ashamed of the way he had been living. He had his plantation. He freed his slaves. He tried to convince others to do the same, but he did not have much luck. For the rest of his life, Las Casas fought to protect the Native Americans. He went back to Spain. He spoke to the king and other important men. He told them what was happening in the colonies. He told them about the cruelty of the conquistadors. He tried to change the way people thought about the Native Americans. At the time, many Spaniards felt that it was okay to use force against non-Christians. They thought the Native Americans were pagans who did not believe in the Christian God. Native Americans believed in many gods. Their religion seemed like devil worship to many Spaniards. Many Spaniards believed that it was okay to conquer the natives and force them to accept Christianity. Some people went even further. They argued that conquest was the only approach that made sense. The Native Americans were barbarians. They could not think for themselves. They were fit only to be slaves. It was not just okay to enslave these people. It was the proper thing to do. It was the best way to save their souls. It was the only way to protect the weaker Native Americans from the stronger Native Americans. Las Casas argued against this way of thinking. He insisted that the Native Americans were capable of thinking for themselves. They deserved to be treated as free men. They should not be conquered and enslaved. They should be converted to the true faith, but they should be converted by peaceful means. Las Casas fought to change the laws. He worked to set up colonies where the Native Americans would be treated fairly. Las Casas also wrote books. His most famous book was a brief account of the destruction of the Indies. This book is an attack on Columbus and the conquistadors. Las Casas blamed these men for their cruel treatment of the natives. These men did not behave like human beings. Las Casas said they behaved like lions and tigers. What made them behave this way? It was greed. They were driven by greed for gold. As you might have guessed, Las Casas was not popular in the Spanish colonies. The Spanish settlers hated him. They felt that he was trying to take any land, power, and slaves they had acquired fairly. They saw Las Casas as a traitor. They saw him as a man who sided with the enemy against his own country. Las Casas was not afraid to be hated. He was a man of great courage. He was sure he was right. He kept fighting for 50 years until his death in 1566.